really good thing about this phone, which is the camera. For a budget tier phone, I'll definitely tell you this thing doesn't have the most amount of lenses. It doesn't have the best front facing camera, but I do think for the majority of things you're going to do with it, it's actually a solid contender for one of the better budget phone cameras. I think it'd probably go for the Galaxy S20 FE, to be honest, but that's not even that big of a budget phone. That's more of like a mid-tier phone in my opinion. This thing isn't even a budget phone compared to the Pixel 4a. Now on the back, it has that single 12 megapixel wide angle lens, and this camera, if you guys remember last year I did those camera comparisons, and even towards the end of the year I compared it to the iPhone 12 Pros, and this camera, the quality of it is still really good. That Apple A13 Bionic chip that this thing has inside of it had some pretty big improvements for the camera lenses as well, and I really do think the software optimizations for it really help improve the whole entire camera atmosphere in my opinion. But it necessarily, it's not the best camera out of even all budget phones. I think a phone like the iPhone XR potentially may have a better camera. Actually, they're probably about the same. I would definitely say like an iPhone 11 has a better camera than this thing. An iPhone XS potentially has a better camera than this thing. But like I mentioned before, this thing's camera is still fairly good for the most part. Now the front camera, that 7 megapixel sensor, it's a good camera, but the problem is that you cannot shoot 4K videos. You can't even do 1080p at 60. You can only be tapped out at 1080p at 30. And I think that is kind of a bigger deal than some people may think. As I have said before, I'm somebody who uses the front camera more than the back camera more times than not. So if you don't really care about it, then go for it. It's not really that big of a deal, but it is something for you to kind of be aware of. And I noticed last year when I was doing those camera comparisons, even now when I use this phone, the front camera is one of those areas that I do kind of wish it had a little bit of an improvement on, to be completely honest. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up in terms of the camera standpoint. Now